For this demo, we'll do most of the work over here in our JavaScript project. So I've created a new button, and I've added in some shellcode. Now we need to add the list. So the first thing we need to do is create an instance of the list creation information object. So here we'll say var LCI is equal to a new sp dot list creation information. And then we need to set a few properties on this guy. So the first is what's the name of our list. So we'll say LCI dot set title, and we're going to call our list tasks. And then we need to say what kind of list we want. We want a task list. So we'll say LCI dot set template type. And the value that it's expecting here is an enumeration value. It's SP list template type. Now you may have noticed that the IntelliSense here in the JavaScript side in Visual Studio 2012 is quite good. One place it kind of falls apart is when we work with enumerations. So list template type is an enumeration, and unfortunately we don't get the proper IntelliSense for it. But the value we want here is tasks. We want to create a task list. And if we wanted to say that we want this list to show up in the quick launch bar, we could do something like set the quick launch option here. Again, it's an enumeration value, so it's sp dot quick launch options, and then we want to set that to on. All right, so the last thing to do is actually create the list. So we'll say here var list is equal to web dot get lists to get the list collection object, and then we want to add, and then we just need to pass a reference to our list creation information. So once that's done, we can kick off the call to the web service, and then if that completes successfully, we should see list added. All right, so let's hit F5 to run our app, and then click the Create List button. And object does not support get list. Oh, okay, I made a typo here. So let's come back over here. This should be get lists, not get list. All right, hit F5 again. Click Create List, and there we go. We can see list added. Now, the thing is, okay, where is our list? Well, we're in a SharePoint hosted app, and SharePoint hosted apps aren't really about collaboration. So we don't see things like the quick launch bar. We don't see things like the site actions menu. They're really about being an application, a sort of a standalone application. And the end users aren't really meant to see the innards of the application unless, of course, you expose them here on your default page or through other pages in your app. Now, we can see the list. I can go up to the site or the URL for the actual site. So that's all of this goop here, /site/dev/JavaScript demo. And then just get rid of all the rest of the stuff here. And then add in /lists/tasks. Okay, so there's our task list. And you can see that a lot of the same functionality you're used to in any kind of list is available. So if we go to the list menu here, you can see a lot of the stuff that we're used to is on the ribbon. One thing that isn't on the ribbon is list settings. So again, this is an app. It works a little bit differently. It's not, again, we're not really meant to be doing collaboration here. We're meant to be building an app. The list settings should be defined by the app itself, not by the user using the app. Now, when you're working in development, instead of having to go figure out the proper URLs, for a list it's easy, but for other things it might not be as easy, we can use a really nice tool called SharePoint Manager. So if I go over to my browser here and just open up Google and then type in SharePoint Manager 2013, you can see it's a CodePlex project. So this is an app that allows you to inspect and interact with your SharePoint sites. So I've already downloaded this. It's a free download from CodePlex. And I'm going to just go ahead and run it. So there's no installer. You just unzip the folder you get or the zip file you get, and then you just go ahead and run the app. We're going to run this as administrator. Okay, so we can see all the different site collections I have. The one we're interested in right now is dev. So dev is where we installed our app. and then the app appears as a subweb of the installation. So that basically this is called the app, or sorry, this is called the host web, and then this is called the app web. The app web appears again as a child of the host web. So if we navigate in here, we can see that there's the lists, and there is our task list, and then I can just open up the browser page that has a task list right here. And, if I want to interact with the list, for example, maybe I want to delete it and recreate it, I can just right-click here in SharePoint Manager and click Delete. That'll go ahead and delete the list. And if I come back over to my app and I click Create List, it'll re-add it. So come back over to SharePoint Manager, just right-click on Lists, click Refresh, and now my task list is back here. So when you're working with apps, particularly when you're creating things like content types, fields, lists, all the different stuff internally, using SharePoint Manager to manage that stuff during dev, making sure you're getting everything right, is a really, really nice tool. Again, it's a free download from Codeplex. Now over here on the manage code side, we basically have the exact same code. It's just now C# code instead of JavaScript code. But we create a list creation information object. We set the title. We optionally can set the quick launch option. This is the enumeration value. We set the template type. Again, another enumeration value. And then we call add on the list collection. Go ahead and hit F5. Click create list. And we get an exception saying that a list, survey, discussion board, or document library with the specified title already exists in the site. So, okay, well, this is working with, let me just get out of full screen here. This is working with our demo site. Oh, yep, there's a task list right there. So if I go over to the task list and then go over to here to list and go to list settings and then click delete this list, and then come back over to our Manage Code app. Again, hit F5, click Create List. That should work. But if I try to click Create List again, then it gives us the same exception we saw earlier. So this code is kind of making the assumption that the list doesn't exist. And while it is doing error trapping, we have wrapped this code in try-catch. We're not really resolving the exceptions. So the next thing we'll look at is how to do exception handling on the server side using the client object model.